Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Sales Scoop, a weekly show for startups who want to improve how they sell. We tackle the hottest topics in sales and bring you the shiniest pearls of wisdom from experienced sellers. I'm Alistair Cole, your host for today and co-founder of the Uplift Partnership. I'm a computer scientist and ex-software engineer with 25 years experience in B2B sales and marketing.
And my name's Kieran Gill, also a co-founder of the Uplift Partnership. I've got 25 years of experience in selling in B2B. That's working with big tech, also in corporate banking and also management consultancy.
Thank you, my friend. And together we are the Uplift Partnership. We simplify sales for startups. Kieran, talk to us about today's topic.
Today's topic, Alistair, is something that's close to your heart, more closer to your heart than mine. It's about websites that accelerate sales. So we're talking about websites that should be a lightning rod to bringing in customers and how that can support us in our B2B mission to sell more.
Yeah, such an important part of the sales process, having a great HQ for your buyers. And that sits within the tech stack part of our 360 evaluation. So part 3 of that 360 diagnostic is tech stack, and the website is a critical part of that. And actually what we've seen over the last few weeks and months working with startups, working through the 360 diagnostic, actually I dug out some stats. Those startups we work with are averaging just 46.2% score for their websites. A lot of them have the right core pieces in place, but the websites aren't necessarily dynamic. They're not being updated as much as or as often as they should be, not pushing out content regularly enough, or creating landing pages that are specific to individual products or services or even campaigns. They're not really advanced in terms of their connections with other technical components within the ecosystem. And a lot of the time, they're not using the website platforms they're built on. They're not using them to their to the fore. Sometimes the look and feel isn't great. Sometimes there's a lot of wasted white space, and certainly there are lots of areas where those websites could be improved visually and through copy. And we'll get into that a bit later. So that's the number. Startups we talk to averaging 46.2 in the website area. I don't know if you have any thoughts on great websites or bad websites you've seen or been part of in the past for sales, my friend?
I've been a part of some absolutely terrible websites in my time as a salesperson that didn't help at all when it came to the sales process. I can remember a long time ago where I was, well, not so long ago actually, I was working with a particular company, and we were at a conference, and my boss at that time, the owner of the business, was sitting there, and we were approached by somebody he knew very well that was potential customer. And he turned around to him and he said, "You know what? I looked at your website and I don't get it." And my ex-boss looked at him with this strange kind of look on his face, and he said, "Well, because you're not the ideal customer for that website, so obviously it's not built for you." And that made me think a lot at that time, thinking to myself, well, actually, this person potentially could be a core customer or could be a customer, and however, he couldn't really understand what that company at that time was trying to sell and what their message was and how they were trying to sell and everything else. And the surprising thing there is there's a stat came from the corporate executive board. I don't know if you know this one, Alistair. It's from a few years ago that said that 56% of buyers are through the buying journey before they approach a salesperson in B2B. So that means they're getting their information from somewhere, making the decision on whether they want to buy this product or put you on a short list, because potentially you could be on a short list, and then reaching out to you. So it shows how important a website really has to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great anecdote. A lot of the time, these things are created or built by people who design them and think about it from their own point of view rather than from the buyer's point of view, which is why we go into so much detail about creating personas, creating ideal customer profiles, target market, and trying to look at the creation of digital assets and websites through the eyes of buyers, so that it actually works for them and what they want to do. I was digging around and thinking about the history of the website ahead of this episode, and I think I got paid to build my first website in the summer of 1994, so 29 years ago, almost 3 decades of being paid to build websites. And back then it was Web 1. People put content out there and you hoped somebody found it, and then things progressed years later into Web 2, and we started to see interactions between users and websites. So it's kind of social media was born. You get this kind of two-way dialogue going on, and now really we're in the Web 3 era, where the internet is available on pretty much every device, 24/7 across the world. Whether you've got an Apple phone or a Google phone, you don't necessarily need your watch. We've had the explosion of voice UI, voice user interface, so that you can actually talk to and be read to by your websites. And even Elon Musk's Starlink project to put the internet in the cloud. It's everywhere now, right? You can get access everywhere, so there's no excuse for not having a really great digital presence. But that also ups the ante for sellers and sales organizations around making sure that they are better than their competitors when it comes to having a high quality digital presence. And so I guess in its most basic sense, you could say that a website is a jumping off point from whatever communication you've had as the buyer, whether that's an email, whether that's on social media, whether that's a link tree or similar kind of link in the bio, all the way down the line to really huge global SaaS websites offering subscription models that you can pay for right there and then, enormous e-commerce platforms that I've been part of that sell millions of pounds of product on a weekly basis. So there's a real scale, and website's been around for so long that a lot of people assume that it's no longer as relevant as some newer mediums. But for me, it's the kind of cornerstone of your digital presence, right? It's your HQ. And I think all roads lead to Rome. They should all lead to Rome. And your website needs to be able to be the best and the most comprehensive source of information, but also make it the easiest for the sales journey to continue. Building on what you said about the 50+% of people have already done their research before they get in touch with the seller. They're doing a lot of that on their website. So, before I continue to rant about what I see as important, what are your thoughts? What kind of questions have you got, my friend?
Well, the thing is, from a seller's point of view, and I'm more of a seller than I'm a marketeer. And what I wanted through working with companies, doing the management consultancy, also being a frontline seller, it's changed. It's changed a lot, and especially COVID's changed a lot of things. And websites are dynamic now. The one thing I would always say to any company or any business that's selling, your website is basically your shop window. It's your, think of Harrods, or think of Harvey Nichols, or think of Selfridges in town. Think of those places. If their shop windows look cluttered and a mess, you would think, oh my God, what am I going to be walking into here? And I feel that's the same thing for a website. If I can go to a website and understand what that company does and be able to find the information I need to find to help me as a customer make the right informed decision, then that website's doing its job. And as a seller, I want to be able to talk to a customer, and I might be talking to multiple personas here within the same client. So we're talking to different ideal customer profiles. Remember, we're talking about complex sales here. So yeah, you might have written your website has to talk to different people in different parts at different stages of their sales process. So you might have people who are just being aware about the solution or have the problem. Might have people even who are trying to be retained by the website. People have already bought who want additional information to help them still use the product. So solution. So a website has to do so many things, and it has to be good. So Tell us more, Alistair. Tell what's important. What's important when it comes to accelerating sales for a website?
Okay, so in my mind, there's three things that you should be doing if you're a startup listening to this episode, watching us live on LinkedIn now. And those three are really the tenets of websites. And they should be: one, it's easy to access; two, there's killer content; and three, it must catalyze action from those buyers. And I want to spend the majority of the rest of this show kind of unpacking those three, right? And there's lots of other areas we can get into because websites are quite complex, but those are the three that I would really focus on. And when I talk about the first point, easy access, we're talking about availability, right? We just touched on the fact that internet's available everywhere. Well, your website, it's got to be accessible on every single device, whether I'm on my mobile phone, I'm at the bus stop, and I've just heard about your brand and I want to have a look at the front page or dive in. So it needs to work well on the mobile. It needs to look fantastically on the desktop. What we're seeing with a lot of the startups and businesses we work with, a lot of work time is spent a huge amount is spent on desktop or laptop rather than mobile. So it's got to look great on a larger screen. It's got to be available 24/7. Can't afford to have any downtime these days, and that's why hosting companies are offering 99.999 recurring uptime. It's got to be available. It's got to be global. If you're trying to tap into a global market, then you need to be thinking about localization and making it available in those areas. But at the very least, it's got to be rapidly available in English globally. It must be accessible, and by that I mean formally accessible. So easy to read colors in terms of the text on the background, the navigation, screen readers, so that those who are not 100% able-bodied are able to enjoy it, find the content themselves, get the content. That's really important. But number one, in terms of easy access, is speed. It's absolutely speed. The top 10 global e-commerce websites all load in under a second, right? If there's any delay when you get to that website as a buyer, you're thinking about making the next step in the journey, any kind of delay, and you're going to be going somewhere else, doing something else, or discarding that action because the website has effectively let you down at that key moment. So that speed. And going away from this session and talking to the people that run your website that should be accelerating your sales and checking on how fast that loads on your desktop, how fast that loads on your mobile, and pushing them to accelerate that is definitely a good thing. So I say speed out of that easy access is probably the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it goes back to what, like I said, it's reputation. If buyers lose their opportunity to purchase if they see something that's not loading, or that dreaded 404. I love that.
Yeah,
I love a good 404 because that really wants me to go and try to find that website. No, it doesn't. It's actually the opposite. I don't ever want to go there again, and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And tell you the truth, business moves so fast. I'm already on to the next thing. So, and this is really important, that accessibility, making sure that it's fast and it's available. That's quite important. But you touched on something else before, and the next point was killer content. So talk to me more about killer content.
Well, that segues quite nicely, right? You talked about 404s, and actually that is an unfortunate thing when it happens, but you should have that mitigated. Most platforms now allow you to create a custom 404 that is apologetic and funny and might keep them on the site. So, and even that can be killer content, right? So point one, easy access. Point two, killer content, right? And here we're talking about they've made their way, they've come down the funnel a bit, from even if they're at the top, right? Now in awareness, and a website can help in terms of SEO optimization, which is critical, is helping people get to that top of the funnel, and then that educational content, that first piece of content, either that landing page or the home page. Killer content is about making sure that those first few words, that first image, that video that buyers get to is high quality, right? Production values are high, but also it's connected and personalized to their problem, the challenge they've got, the journey they're going to go on. And it may be that you need different landing pages for different products, different services, different ideal customer profiles, so that it is more personalized, right? And platforms allow the creation of multiple different pages, and that they can be tied to campaigns. So killer content is about the brilliant words that you've written or your marketing department has written with you, and they've been crafted, and you've considered the tenets of modern digital design. So break lines are set at the right place, where the right words ideally start the following sentences, that as pages shrink and grow on different size screens, you still get the message, you still get the image, you still get a high quality experience. You're talking about images, they're so important. You know, high quality imagery is so paramount to a great digital experience, as are videos. And so that copy needs to be written, you know, exquisitely, and the assets, the audio and video assets chosen and produced to a real high quality, so that the buyer, when they get there, when you finally get them there, which isn't easy, they're hooked by what you've said and what you've presented immediately, and they want to do more. They want to keep reading, they want to keep watching, and beyond just that kind of that great content, that they've got easy access through navigation, through signposting, through links, through menus, easy access to get to other things they want to consume, you know, case studies, product information, comparison charts and tools, and ability to book website meetings and demos. That's all important, but that killer content is about every word that you put out there, making sure that it is absolutely banging in terms of its quality.
Yeah, I think it's important, because especially when you're talking about multiple buying personas who potentially could be looking at your website, and everybody's at a different stage with a different problem. So, and the one thing I think where I think it's really important for websites for B2B companies is that your website is talking to several different people at different stages about different problems. And if you're trying to sell your product into different companies, or into the same company but into different departments, think about what your solution could solve for the finance department, but it could be totally different for the manufacturing department, or you could be selling to a totally different persona. And great websites do that. They have that way of doing this. They're able to communicate, and they make it easy for you to navigate around the website, don't they? That's the one thing I love about. I understand. I am who I am, and I know what my problem is, but I'm not from, you know. And I can find what I'm looking for. I can find that case study that resonates for me. You know, I can find that case study that was written about a European company that had the same problems with me, and they were able to solve it. Now I'm interested. However, I'm also a company from Africa, and I had a different problem. Can I find another relevant piece of content that resonates with me? So, you know, I think, yeah, the killer content, and especially the value proposition, isn't it? It all comes back to, you know, section 1 of the 360, where we look at the value proposition and the buyer persona and the ideal customer profile. Yeah. That all has to come into the website. Because if that's not coming through into the website, what's the point? You know, who are you writing the website for?
Yeah, and that's why those things, the value proposition, the ideal customer profile, that's why they're in that first section of sales strategy. They're absolutely fundamental, and then they have to come through. And you're right there talking about different journeys and different paths. I think that's really important. Some people will build a website and that's it, right? And it's quite small. It's, you know, it's a handful of pages, and that's fine to start with. Others will grow organically with large companies, ends up getting out of control. It's a mess. There's too much content. The sweet spot is somewhere in the middle, where you've got, you know, a homepage that resonates for the majority of your buyers, right? Your customer profiles, and landing pages or routes that are dedicated to each of those, whether you're, like you said, you know, coming from the African continent and you've got a particular kind of problem, or it's a European thing and it's a different kind of problem. So having customized routes and customized landing pages that bring through the consistency from your marketing campaigns, that's critical. So it feels like it's the same journey. But having those more personalized routes is all part of killer content. Personalization, different personas, different videos for different routes. That's really important. It's absolutely important. That consistency is really important too. Consistency across from your social media or your email outreach into the website and then on. So there's a consistency of brand approach too. And then when you've sorted the killer content, a big problem that we see a lot of the time is that there aren't the necessary or relevant calls to action to facilitate further discussion or what's next, right? So, and that's the third point, which is about catalyzing action, right? Every section of every page should have a purpose, right? The point of your subject line in the email is that the recipient opens the email. The point of the opening paragraph on your web page is that the user, the buyer, will read more. And so each section should have a very clear call to action, either to read more, get in touch, download an asset, or continue their journey in some way. And that's one of the real bear traps that we see that startups don't go through with. They write all the content, their value proposition is down there, but there's not enough time given to creating personalized actions for each section in the website and each page. And if you look at a web page that you built or a section and you think you're not sure what is the point of that, it isn't taking the buyer somewhere, then you might question whether it's worth keeping.
Well, test it with your buyer. That's the big thing. Ask the customer. Have they looked at your website? Talk to your your customers at the moment, the people who are buying from you. Have you been to our website? What do you think of it? Did you find what you were looking for? Think about it. And I always come back to this whole shop window thing. It is your shop window. If your customer can't get the information they want from there, then it's not doing its job. And the best person that you can speak to is your customer, because they'll tell you very, very quickly, I didn't get it. Like I told you, like the story I told you, I don't get what you do. That was a red flag in my head. Should have done something about it. They didn't.
So, that's absolutely bang on. Getting users in front of it, either when you've finished making the page and it's on a staging site in Wix or Squarespace or whatever platform, but actually putting buyers in front of it. And it doesn't have to be fully built. It could be sketched out. You might have an idea for a new journey, a new route. You can sketch it out in paper and pencil. Putting that in front of an ideal customer, putting it in front of an actual buyer and getting their point of view. Does this make sense? Will you click this button? Does that image, does that resonate with you? Actually, so that testing doesn't have to be kind of advanced A/B testing, which is great if you can get down to that level. But even just testing, the words that you write, the images you use, testing that in front of buyers is great. You can send them a PDF, trusted buyers, get their feedback. What do you think about this as a new section? That's really important. And that is one of the real bear traps that we see. Not enough feedback from users, not enough testing. The other ones that I see all the time are people believing build it and they will come. You can't just build your website and leave it hanging out there and hope it's going to work for you as a sales accelerator. It needs to be fed and watered on a regular basis, updated. There need to be new blog posts going out to support SEO and attracting people to come into the website. Like I said, speed's an absolute killer. And those focused user journeys for an individual persona with a particular problem you identified as part of your sales strategy. And then what is their route? What are the sections they want? What are the calls to action to get them to download the asset, book a demo, reach out to a salesperson?
Well, it's there to, and we're talking about sales cycles here. Now, sales cycles are getting longer in B2B, unfortunately. And we had the information today about the inflation rate staying where it is. Now, the problem with this is that companies are now making decisions very slowly. So your website needs to support the acceleration of sales. And that sales cycle, we need to be able to communicate with our customer in a way that they understand that they're going to get value from your product very, very quickly. So everything you say resonates with me. As a seller, I want the website to back up me. I want it to be there at the background. When I talk to a client, that it supports me in my sales process. If I'm doing outreach or if I'm doing networking, that instead of giving people, a PDF about what we do, I want them to go straight to the website and see what we do from there and get it. because that's always updated. It should be the freshest thing that we do. It shouldn't be the thing that's lagging behind other copy that's been built.
Yeah, totally. And it's a bit controversial, but I'm not a big fan of including social media, automated dynamic social media threads on your website, because for me the website should be the last line on the of the journey, because it's from there that you can book your demos, you can get in touch with salespeople, you can download the assets. You can't do that on social media sites. And so I think once you've got users to the website, you've got to look after them and keep them there as long as possible. Remove distractions, which is what big e-commerce sites do. Once you fill the basket, they remove the navigation, they remove any kind of distraction, and so that you are really only focused on buying that product. And I think removing distractions in the B2B world is just as relevant as well. So I don't like including kind of social media threads, because people then leave the website and go onto social media, and that doesn't have a kind of the same power in terms of sharing information and getting feedback. And websites are so much power in the sales world, all the way through the funnel. In consideration, it's about product and service information. You've got comparison tools, demonstrations, and lead gen forms. And then as you come further down the funnel into decision stage, you've got pricing information if that's important to you, customer support, ROI calculators, and trust signals. If you're a SaaS subscription platform or e-commerce, then those trust signals are very important. Reviews from other people, evidence that transactions are going to be secure. That's really crucial. And then even post-purchase, out the end of the funnel, onboarding resources are critical to ensuring that the sale is successful. Customer profiles and portals, feedback mechanisms, and of course, upselling and cross-selling. Website's job is not done once a sale's been made. You can still upsell and cross-sell customers, and the website has a big role in that as well.
Oh, customer success is massive, especially for SaaS businesses, or anybody who's got a subscription-based business. Customer success is major, and your website should be supporting that at all times as well.
Yeah.
Well, Alistair, we could do another one of these, couldn't we? This has gone on for ages. I can tell that you've got loads more information. Maybe we'll have to do accelerating style websites to revenge the website.
No, I think we've probably covered enough. And that sits, that website piece sits inside our tech stack. Part of our 360 analysis, and the other bits that are in tech stack are your overall tech strategy for sales, social media platforms, CRM, use of AI that we're using increasingly on sales now, and overall dashboards for reporting. So website is one part of a bigger part of the 360. And if anybody else is interested in that, our 360 sales diagnostic is a super fast way that we use to assess the quality of a startup sales function and identify areas in which they should move very rapidly to improve that sales function. You can get more at theupliftpartnership.com/360.
That's it. I think that's us done. Bang on the half hour. That's
bang on 12:30. So thanks for your questions, mate. Thanks for listening to me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and as always, as our marketing and branding and guru of all things when it comes to getting websites looking great, it was amazing. But thank you very much. Thank you everybody for listening to us. We'll be back soon. I think Alice has probably got some more information on that.
We're going to be back in 3 weeks with a digest of everything we've learned from our 360. We've been beavering away, producing these reports and working with a fantastic range of startups in AI, in health tech, in sustainability, and we've got some great anonymous data and some great trends to share along the kind of 46.2 that I shared at the start. So really excited in 3 weeks we're able to bring some trends and some stats and get our data geek hats on in 3 weeks. So you'll see more of that on LinkedIn.
Love a good data geek download. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.